Uh, Good evening, members of the board. My name is Prahlad Thapamagar, and I'm presenting on behalf of McKinsey and company's global strategy team. Today's presentation outlines a global expansion strategy for Marks and Spencer Group PLC, which is based in quite famous in UK and focusing on the entry into the Vietnam. M&S is a well-known British retailer with a strong reputation in clothing, food, and home products. However, the company remains heavily dependent on the UK market. This creates risks because UK retail growth is slowing. So our strategy explains why Vietnam is the best expansion country for the opportunity, how globalization affects M&S internally, and what structural and decision making changes are needed to support successful international growth. So the recommendations are data-driven, realistic, and designed to create a long-term competitive advantage across ASEAN markets. So yeah, moving to the slide 2. Here we have an executive overview. These slides summarize the purpose and expected outcomes of the proposed expansion. So currently around 85% of M&S revenue comes from the UK market, meaning the company has limited geographic diversification. Expanding internationally reduces reliance on one market and creates new revenue streams. So Vietnam has been selected because it is one of the fastest growing economies in Southeast Asia. GDP growth reached approximately 7.5% in 2025, while e-commerce continues to grow rapidly due to rising internet usage and smartphone adoption. So the initial focus will be on Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi, because these cities have the highest concentration of middle-income consumers and developed digital infrastructures. The expected strategic outcome is to achieve 3% online market share in the premium home and clothing segment within 3 years. More importantly, Vietnam can become a foundation for wider ASEAN expansion in the future. Moving to the slide 3. Here we get a organization and strategic context. So Marks and Spencer has over 140 years of heritage and remains one of the UK's most recognizable retailers. The business performs strongly in clothing, food, and home products. Despite this strong brand identity, the company's international presence is still limited. So Most overseas activity comes from franchise operation in countries such as Ireland and India. International revenue represents only around 15% of total sales. So there are several strategic challenges facing M&S today. First, the UK market is mature and highly competitive, mm, with low forecasted growth over the next few years. And second is competitors such as Zara, H&M already operate successfully in Vietnam. So giving them early market presence. Finally, shareholders are increasingly expecting companies to identify new international growth opportunities. For these reasons, expansion is no longer optional. Vietnam provides M&S with an opportunity to enter a fast-growing market while building a scalable digital international model. So yeah, we are heading to the slide 4. Market selection and justifications. Vietnam was selected after evaluating market growth, consumer behavior, trade conditions, and strategic fit. The country has a population of over 100 million people and a median age of approximately 32 years, meaning consumers are relatively young and digitally engaged. So, Vietnam's e-commerce market is expected to continue growing strongly, supported by rising middle class income and increasing online shopping habits. Another major advantage is the UK-Vietnam Free Trade Agreement, which reduces tariffs and improves trade access for British businesses. And this gives M&S a cost and competitive advantage compared with some European competitors. And M&S premium clothing and home products align with the aspirations of Vietnam growing middle class who increasingly associate British brands with quality and trust. However, risks still exist because local competition is strong and Vietnam has regulation around data localization and digital operations. To reduce these risks, our first digital first market entry supported by local partnership is recommended. Okay, so now getting into the slide 5, external environment analysis. So we have here analyzes that Vietnam's external business environment using PESTEL analysis and propose 5 processes. Politically, Vietnam is stable and supportive of foreign direct investment, which creates a favorable environment for international retailers. Economically, the country has a strong GDP growth and relatively low inflation, increasing consumer spending power. So, socially and technologically, Vietnam has a young and digitally connected population. Platforms such as Zalo, TikTok Shop, and Momo Payments dominate consumer behavior. Therefore, M&S must adapt to local digital habits rather than rely only on traditional retail markets. So, from a legal perspective, Vietnam has data privacy and e-commerce regulations that require careful compliance planning. And Protos 5 process analysis shows that rivalry is moderated because there are still relatively few premium British retailers in the market. However, barriers to entry are low in e-commerce, meaning competitors can enter quickly. The key strategic implication is that M&S must move fast, localize effectively, and if invest early in compliance and digital capabilities. Okay, so here this is the what we analyze looking at the external environment, and moving to the slide 6, impact of globalization on organizations. So globalizations with globalizations require major internal changes within M&S. Currently, the organization operates mainly through a centralized UK structure. However, international expansions requires more regional flexibility and faster local decision making. The recommendation is move towards geographic divisional structure with a Vietnam country manager responsible for local performance and operations. Leadership and governance will also need to evolve. A global expansion board should be created to coordinate decisions between the UK headquarters and the regional team. Culturally, M&S must become more adaptable. Vietnamese business cultural values relationships, teamwork, and respect for hierarchy. Therefore, UK management practice may need adjustment to improve communication and collaboration. Different business functions will also be affected. Marketing must become localized as our policies should support bilingual teams, and the supply chain should use a regional hub in Singapore to improve efficiency. Okay, so the main challenge is balancing control with flexibility. Too much centralized slows decisions, while too much decentralization risks damaging brand consistency. A matrix structure provides the best balance between global control and local responsiveness. And slide 7 says ethics, sustainability, and organizational alignment. Ethics and sustainability are now essential parts of international business strategy. M&S must ensure that all suppliers in Vietnam follow ethical labor practices and comply with the UK Modern Slavery Act. Third-party audits should be used to monitor supply standards and reduce reputational risks. Sustainability is also important because consumers and investors increasingly expect environmentally responsible operations. Using sea freight instead of air freight can significantly reduce carbon emissions, while recycled packaging supports sustainability targets. Cultural awareness is another critical factor. UK managers working with Vietnamese teams should receive cultural training to improve communication and relationship building. The McKinsey 7S framework shows that successful expansion requires alignment across all parts of the organizations. Strategy, systems, leadership style, staffing, and the organizational values must all support the international expansion plan. This means sustainability and ethics should not operate separately from business strategy. Instead, they must be integrated directly into governance and operational decision making. Okay, in the slide 8, this slides decision making in a global context. This slides evaluates different approaches to global decision making. A fully centralized model allows strong control from London, but often results in slow responses to local market conditions. A fully decentralized model increases local flexibility, but may create inconsistent branding and operational standards. So, A participative model encourages collaboration across departments and regions, which is useful for complex international decisions. The recommended approach is a hybrid decision making model. Strategic decisions such as investment approvals, brand standards, and ethics policies remain controlled by the London headquarters. However, tactical decisions such as pricing, promotions, and local logistics are managed by the Vietnamese team. That's good. And this approach improves operational speed while maintaining global consistency. For example, instead of waiting weeks for approval from London, local managers can respond to market trends within 48 hours using AI driven sales dashboards and real time consumer data. So, and slide 9 says global strategy and strategic objectives. These slides outlines the strategic objectives and a market entry approach. The first smart objectives is to achieve a 3% online market share in Vietnam premium home and clothing sector within 3 years. The second objective is to launch a fully localized e-commerce platform within 9 months, including Vietnamese language supports and local payment system. The third objective focuses on sustainability by reducing the carbon footprint of shipments by 50% within 3 years. The recommended market entry method is a joint venture with a local logistic company such as GSN. This reduces operational risks and improves last mile delivery performance. M&S should follow a transnational strategy, meaning it keeps global brand quality and values while adapting products, marketing, and customer service to local consumer preference. This strategy also considers key stakeholders, including customers, employees, suppliers, and investors. By balancing these interests, M&S can achieve long-term sustainable growth. Last but not least, slide is recommendation and conclusions. So, in conclusion, Vietnam represents a strong strategic opportunity for M&S. The first recommendation is to establish a regional digital hub in Ho Chi Minh City. The hub will support local operations while also becoming a future ASEAN expansion center. So the second recommendation is to implement an AI-driven localization engine to improve product descriptions, customer service, and market communication in Vietnamese. The third recommendation is to adopt the hybrid decision-making model discussed earlier, combining strategic control from London and local operational flexibility. So together, this recommendation create several competitive advantages. M&S can become one of the first premium British retailers to build a fully localized digital retail platform in Vietnam. The company can also respond faster to market trends and reduce dependence on slow-growing UK retail markets. Overall, this phased, ethical, and digital-first strategy provides a realistic pathway for sustainable international growth across Southeast Asia.